Hi guys, welcome back to my channel and welcome back. I mean, this is kind of an episode of Tea Talk, although I'm staring at my tea right now and realizing it's not in my hand. Hold please, I need to grab it. Oh man, because what is Tea Talk without tea, am I right? So today's Tea Talk is a little bit different because I'm doing a Q&A, as you can tell by the title, and I am the queen of just giving way too long of answers. And what's also hard for me is that when I was going through these questions, because I asked you guys on Instagram for questions, so ask me anything you'd like, and I was going through and I thought, okay, I've got a good amount of questions that I've screenshot. You know, not too many, but a good amount. Yeah, I screenshotted like 30 and there were so many. I tried to pick ones that sounded interesting to me, ones that I got multiple times, and I'm just gonna go ahead and start answering. So first question is from It's Tabo, and she says, "You are so positive and I love that, but I would love to hear about the mom things you've struggled with." So first off, thank you. This is actually, you know, it's interesting because being an online person, sharing, I guess you would say, my personal life, that's something that I've debated a lot, like which parts to show, which parts not to show, right? I feel like that's kind of obvious. And my personality, like in general, by nature, is just more positive, quote unquote. Although some ways I don't even really like that word, because I think sometimes things that we might label as negative, you know, quote unquote, I keep saying quote unquote, aren't necessarily a bad thing, because things like, I remember when I was seeing my therapist and I would use the word fight, like I got in a fight with Dan and she'd be like, was it a fight? Like, I don't know if I like the word fight. Like, you guys were having a conversation about something that you did not agree on. So, you know, anyways, that's a tangent. Wow, how am I gonna answer all these questions if I don't answer right away? First off, I am actually uploading audio exclusive Tea Talks to my podcast now, hopefully starting this week. I've recorded the first 2 episodes. So you might already be listening to this on podcast, but if you're not and you're watching this on YouTube, the reason I'm bringing this up is because probably my 3rd or 4th episode that I'm going to be recording this week, so this will just be audio podcast, no video, are going to be about the things that I, quote, don't like about being a mom. So I'll probably blabber more in that. I will say though, when you talk about the struggling, I mean, it's weird because the whole thing is a struggle, right? Like, I've never done this before. I never had milk coming out of my boobs. I mean, of course, I guess I knew babies had to nap. Like, I feel like everybody knows that, but I didn't really know that because I had never babysat or watched a baby. It's really hard. Backing up. I have watched a baby before. Have I? Oh, dude, maybe I haven't. It's so rare. Like, I just haven't spent a lot of time around babies. And so the whole thing, I was just talking to my friend about this yesterday, that the whole thing is it's been a steep learning curve for me. So that's been probably the biggest struggle. The thing is, it is my personality through the struggle to focus on what makes it beautiful. The thing that I've disliked the most though is I don't like it when Logan cries. Like, I get really like bummed and upset, to say the least. And so teething this last week has been really depressing. I'm doing a lot of things. I'm not just like letting him just sit there and be in pain. But we'll talk about that in another video. So the crying, that's probably the biggest struggle. You know, waking up in the middle of the night every single day for the last 7 months, like that has been hard. Just the steep learning curve. That's honestly the biggest summary I can give, is the learning curve. I had no idea what it looked like to be a mom to a newborn. And I don't mean that in a scary way, like I had no idea, because this is the most fulfilling thing I've ever done in my life. But the sentence is what it is. I had no idea. So I'm going to move on because I'll just talk all day about one question. Okay, next question. Speaking of babies, this is from Texas, the French Bulldog. When is baby number 2? So here's the deal. I debated saying anything because I know a lot of people, like, I don't know, maybe I will feel weird when the timing comes. But I just in my head don't feel weird. It's kind of like I had a friend the other day ask me if my period had come back because we're talking about preparing for baby number 2. I'll answer the question, I swear. But I literally was like, no, I actually didn't even think about it. I just kind of assumed that like once it was time, I would get pregnant even if I didn't have my period, because that happens sometimes. So I don't know. I don't want to put pressure on myself by telling you guys this, but I feel like I'm not, because I also don't care about like pressure, but maybe I will down the line. Answer to your question though is we are looking at probably trying for baby number 2 in January or February. I have been in it to win it with my training, guys. I have not missed a day of training. Now, when I say training, it's kind of working out, right? I have like this little regimen that I do, but it's still hard for me to get my head around and call it like a workout, because my past, I was like a legitimate athlete that, weight trained and did spin classes and was dancing 5 to 8 hours a day and all of this stuff, right? So it's hard for me to even consider this working out, but I am, and I'm dealing with a lot of, you guys know, which I'm going to answer this question a little bit too. I deal with a lot of chronic pain, injuries that have been around since I was like 12. So the regimen that I'm on, which is helping, that's a whole other crazy thing we'll talk about, like I said, when I answer that question. I've been doing it 6 days a week, and I am noticing a serious change in my injuries, in my body, in my healing. And so I just feel like I have to focus and be in the zone to try to carry another baby. Not only just because I want to be like, as good a shape as I can be for my future with my children and my husband and all that, but also, because of my chronic pain and stuff like this, I have to try everything I can to set myself up for success. So January or February looks like when we'll probably start trying again. There is a lot going on in our life right now, just like how I would imagine there's a lot going on in everyone's life that is watching or listening. So we'll see. That is subject to change if I get there and I've changed my mind. And that's really what we've talked about. It's like, and I do this a lot in life. I set goals. I'm like, that's what I'm going for. But I try to make myself just as comfortable at quitting that goal. And I don't mean that as like a legit quitter, but I mean as like not beating myself up, because I can go there of like, you don't complete anything. Like I can get real negative. Like, you're such a loser. Why you can't follow through on your word ever. I realize that got really dark really fast, but I think a lot of people struggle with self-talk like that, especially around goals. And keeping your word to yourself is really important, but also we're talking about making a baby here. So like, if I get there and I'm like, yo, I'm not ready yet, Dan, well, we're just gonna wait. But that's the tentative timeline. Wow, it's taken me like 10 minutes to answer 2 questions. We're gonna go on to the next question. And this is actually from the same person. I didn't realize that. What advice do you have for someone struggling with depression? Okay, so I have kind of 2 separate pieces of advice. I'm going to try not to go off, because I actually just got asked this other question that wasn't even in here, and that was if I am still on my SSRI. Someone asked me that the other day. I am still on my SSRI. To those of you that don't know, I started taking it, unfortunately. I say unfortunately, you'll figure it out why as I keep talking. Because I don't like being on a medication, and I started it for all of my pain, because the SSRI that I am on is commonly prescribed for people with chronic pain, because apparently the same part of the brain that the SSRI treats is the same part of the brain that processes pain. So often people who have just undiagnosed, like they don't know why the pain is being caused, this is a typical step that they will take, is prescribing you an SSRI. And when I started taking it, you guys know I was really at the end of my rope. So not only was I specifically taking it for chronic pain, but I actually didn't realize that I was definitely struggling with depression. And I know it sounds weird, like how can you not realize it? I mean, I did realize it, but I didn't really realize it. And I think maybe that's a lot of life. I think a lot of people don't realize they're going through things till they're out of it. That being said, my plan, because I'm not only physically feeling like guys, this is almost a separate video. The chiropractor I've been working with, we've been doing a specific treatment that I've never done in my life. It's basically like an electric stimulation machine, but it's not like the typical stimulation you would get at a physical therapist's office. It's actually like a GPS for finding the pain and solving the problem. It's called ARP wave therapy. So if you want to look for a clinician near you and you're kind of at the end of your rope like I was, I mean, I literally am getting to the point where I'm like, this is incredible. Does everyone need to use this? Because I can't believe what's happening in my body. I'm actually a little scared because I feel so hopeful, and I've seen the most progress forward that I've seen since I started having problems when I was 12. So that being said, I would like to segue off my SSRI. That being said, jump to the point, Nikki. Things that I would suggest for people dealing with depression. And some people are not going to like this answer, but I think that the body is, you need to treat yourself holistically. So here's a couple quick things that I would say. Get moving every day, whether you feel like it or not, no matter how depressed you are, which I know is easier said than done. I'm just giving you the tips. Get moving. When you get moving, if you can get moving outside, that's even better. And on top of that, if you could get barefoot and get on some dirt or grass, that's even better. If you haven't watched the documentary called, I think it's called Grounding or Grounded or something like that, or maybe it's called Earthling. Just look up Grounding documentary. I think it's on YouTube for free. Just watch the first half. The second half is testimonials. I didn't even watch that because I was like sold by the first half. I was like, I'm in, this is free. And they basically make the argument that in modern society, we don't spend any time with our feet to the earth. And this sounds really hippy dippy, but go watch the documentary because they explain the actual science behind it. And I'm all in because, like, you guys know, I've gone more and more in that direction of just like yes, with the seasons, with nature, you know, like birthing my baby at home in the water. Like, that's definitely the direction my brain has gone. So depression, get moving, get outside, get sun, get fresh air, get your feet in the grass, and get your feet in the grass or the dirt every single day. And if you can do it multiple times a day, do it multiple times a day. Fill your mind with things that are lovely and pure and sweet. If you are a Christian and a believer, get in your scriptures daily. You can listen to them on Audible, you know, or on like the app where they read the Bible. You can read it, but get in it daily. And when you put stuff in front of you, be cognizant, just like how you, which this is the other piece of advice, right? Eat real food, eat clean food. The thing is, I know people are going to say that because depression is supposedly a chemical imbalance in the brain, a lot of people feel like you don't have the ability to do those things when you are seriously in depression, and you might not. But in terms of asking me for things that you could try to force yourself to do that will probably or could potentially be beneficial, even my therapist who is a big believer in like SSRIs, antidepressants, all of that, she talks about how really the best line of attack is lifestyle choices first. So what I was saying, be aware of what you're consuming. Just like how you don't want to consume food that is, you know, junk, processed and junk. It's the same thing for what is going in your eyes. Are you watching things that are lovely? And not only lovely, but beautiful, encouraging, pure, quote unquote, meaning like it's not smut. I don't even know how else to word that. I think you know when you're watching something that you're like, why am I watching this? Like, is that what's going into your brain? Or are you watching things and listening to things that are planting seeds of hope in you, seeds of beauty and joy and a future that you could maybe get excited about? And, you know, I know I'm talking about mindset. And like I said, it's not just mindset. There's a whole thing. But if you were going to try things before looking at medication, which I highly recommend, those are the things that I would do. I do a lot of things, man. I take supplements. Like I said, get outside, get my feet in the ground. I take Epsom salt baths. And, you know, like I said, I'm still on my SSRI. I'm on the lowest dose that they prescribe. I've never had to go up yet. We'll see when I come off, but I really want to come off of it. And I am concerned about the long-term effects, which is why I want to try to wean again. All right, so what is your pump routine and your routine with cloth diapers? See, this is an easy one to answer. I already have don't I? I was just gonna say, I already have a video for both of these things, but maybe I don't. I'm actually about to film after this my LV versus Spectra video, finally. But my pump routine, I pump, here's the deal. I used to pump 7 times a day, once in the middle of the night. Then I backed off, everything was going fine. I'm not making as much milk now, so I've had to up it, and now I'm doing 6 times a day. But I actually think it might be my pumps, because I just realized last night, I've been pumping exclusively for 5 months, and I've never changed out the little duckbill valves on my Spectra. And I realized that could be a huge problem. Like last night when I pumped, I didn't get much milk out, but my boobs were still full. So I literally in the middle of the night got on Amazon. I'm like, this is ridiculous. And I ordered more duck bills. And then I read that you're supposed to be replacing them like every 3 weeks if you're pumping all the time. So, yeah, but that's what I do. I typically pump every like 2-ish hours in the day. I've shown kind of how I rotate my LV product or my LV items in my day and my lives. And then cloth diapers, there's not really a routine. Like we literally just change the diaper today, by the way, guys. Logan has officially started pooping actual poop. And so we installed one of those spray pals on our toilet and Dan just used it for the first time and it was amazing. We'll see how it goes now that he's actually pooping. But that was kind of crazy. So we just pretty much deconstruct the diaper, put it in the wet bag, and it sits there through the day, and we do a load of diapers basically every single day. So that's our routine. So Gems of Perhaps says, will you move out of the city and have your own mini farm? Goals. We'll see. Dan and I are looking at a few options of where to move at some point, but we don't know when we're going to move. We could move in the next couple months. We could move in the next 1 to 2 years. Like I said, there's a lot going on in our life right now. So we don't really know what's going to happen or where we're going to go. But we do know that unless God has other plans for us, our plan is definitely to move out of this house at some point. We don't have enough land. Like we would like more land. Our backyard's pretty small, though we are grateful for what we have. And like I said, that's why part of me is like, I could be content here forever. But like really, we would like to move. So that's kind of our plan. It could be a few months. It could be a year. It could be 2 years. We're kind of just playing it by ear based on a lot of factors. But yeah, maybe one day we'll have Philippi farms, but at this point it would just be our farm. It wouldn't be like we'd become professional farmers, we don't think. So we're not good enough farmers. We got a long ways to go. Okay, Dawn for Life, who I talk to Dawn, I feel like all the time on the internet. So hey, Dawn. She said, your thoughts on putting Logan online, please. You know that I love it, but I'd like your opinion. So I've talked about this a little bit before. Dan and I we decided we were okay with it. That's why we proceeded forward. I get the debate. I've watched a lot of video. I mean, you guys know how I am, right? When I want to look at something, like when I'm into something, I watch a lot of perspectives around that topic, and I understand and respect why a lot of parents don't. So this is kind of our perspective as of now. This could change, so we could completely flip a 180. As of right now, we feel fine with it for a few reasons. One, people don't really choose where they're born. Like some people are born into extreme poverty. Some people are born into extreme wealth. Some people are born to the royal family and welcome to your life. You didn't choose to be a royal, but that's what you get. And so, I mean, that's the story for everyone, right? No one chooses where they're born. And Dan and I feel like we don't, I don't know, I saw Sarah Therese talking about this in one of her videos, that people could see her kids anywhere. Every time she goes out, we live in the age of the internet now, so I've been whatever about my privacy for a while. I'm kind of just yeah, I mean, everybody knows everything about you anyways. Even if you're someone that's kind of trying to keep things more low key, I say everyone, I'm really referring to the government, they already know. We don't have Alexas in our house though, on a side note. That being said, back to Logan, I think we'll see as we go. I think it's going to come down to what we share versus just sharing, showing his face, showing what he does around the house. Because for me, a line changes if I'm always slamming a camera in his face, or if he's not able to do normal kid things because I'm no, it's time to vlog, or I'm making him perform, or he's having a rough time, a meltdown or a fit or whatever as kids do, and then I film that and show that. That's kind of where it is for me. I don't want to document something that I think he might look back on and be oof. I mean, you don't know what anyone's going to look back on and be oof, he could say that over all of this. I don't think so, because he's a cute little baby and we're trying to not embarrass him, but he might. Really, just everything else in my life, right? We're just going to take it as it goes. But that's where our head is at right now. We feel we're just sharing our cute baby. We don't feel there's anything too personal, but everyone's level of what is personal and how much privacy they want on the internet is completely different. So, but you asked for my thoughts, Dawn. Those are my thoughts. So All in 96 said, how is your mental health doing these days? Okay. As a general answer, my mental health has been really great in the sense that I felt generally pretty peaceful. Like I said, never expected to just love having a baby so much, and just this whole new life for me, right? Of like gardening and homesteading really, and having a baby. Like, it's crazy. That being said, I did have a rough last few days. Logan has been teething for the last week, and it's kind of like, anything that happens that's hard over and over and over, which like it was 7 days of just like a lot, it gets grating on you, right? And so that both Dan and I kind of like snapped a little bit yesterday. We were just a little bit like, we're so tired, and it like erupted into this whole thing. And so I don't know if you can call, like, if it even matters, like one bad day. Like, people who have really great mental health have bad days. I think that is part of health, right? Cycles, and approaching hard things and dealing with it. But as a generalization, I'd say I'm feeling pretty good. I have days, like when I was having that day yesterday, I was messaging my friend, and I was in that headspace where I was just like, I feel like such a loser. Like, no matter how hard I try, like, it's just not enough. Like, in general, right? As a mom, as a wife, as a YouTuber, as like everything. And I was like, I look at all these moms that have like 6 kids and they do so much more than me. But like, I know, even though I was having an emotional moment, like, dude, I'm on kid number 1. Like, I've never had a kid before. I know every baby is going to be different, but like, I didn't even know a bottle to buy. It was like, where do I get, like, just Target my bottles, right? Like, I didn't know anything about any of it. So it's, like I said, been a steep learning curve. And so I have those days sometimes where, I'll be upset at myself. But like I said, this is still too long of a tangent, because as a generalization, I've been feeling really good. So, there's that. So Caroline says, how do you calm your mind when you worry about what could happen to Logan? Like, with everything in the news and hearing all these horrible things that people do. Honestly, I remind myself constantly that I'm not actually in control. And I remind myself that I trust the Lord, and whatever's going to happen is going to happen. Now, that's not an excuse to just be like, whatever, like not try to be a good mom, or like learn how to protect myself or whatever. Like, I think, you don't just run in traffic and Jesus, take the wheel, just run in the middle of the freeway. Like, you have to use your brain. But that being said, we're not in control really of much of anything. So I try to remind myself that he is God's baby, not mine. I mean, he is mine, but he's not mine. He's God's. And whatever is going to happen is going to happen. And I try not to dwell on it. And this is where it kind of goes back to, what are you consuming? If the media is upsetting you and making you stressed and anxious over your kids and just life in general, don't watch it. And I know people feel like, you have to be all updated. And I mean, I get it. I'm kind of into all of that, honestly. But it depends on how it's affecting your day-to-day life. And you really don't have any obligation to know everything that's going on in the world, supposedly, according to what, Twitter, YouTube, Google. Like, how do you even know what's really happening? Like, everything that I find it interesting that it's like on the screen on my phone, the world's falling apart. But I look out my window, like, there's, like, the city's not on fire. Like, there's no bombs going off. People aren't screaming at people outside of my window. And I know it is happening to some people. My point is, though, I think a lot of us get caught up on what's happening in the phone, and we don't look up or away from the TV and go like, okay, I mean, like, let's just live my real life. Let's like have my real friends and my real family, and like bask in the goodness of that and what's there. Because even though these are unprecedented times, there have always been unprecedented times. Like, people go through a lot of hardship all throughout history, all in life. And so what are you going to do? Now it's in our face all the time. It's almost hard to escape if you don't make yourself step away. And just know you're not obligated to know everything, because even if you do listen and learn and know everything, you have to be aware that everything is coming from a perspective. It's a perspective, and perspectives are bias because it's that person's view. You don't know what the quote unquote agenda is of the people that are sharing the information with you. You don't know it. Do you even trust that person? Do you know that person? And once again, that's not to, well, whatever's, nothing happening outside of my own backyard just doesn't matter. Whatever's happening here, that's all it is. Like, that's not what I'm saying, because that's just not what I'm saying. But what I am saying is you need to take a check on how you are treating the people around you and living your life, and how effective you are being in loving other people, caring for other people, doing good things, and if that is being affected by media that you are consuming. So, yeah, I don't know. Why did I go off? Oh, you were asking what I thought about everything going on. There we go. There's that. So, next question. How painful was your birth experience really? It was so beautiful. It was really painful. Like, say it was about as painful as it looked on camera. I'm pretty dramatic, but that's pretty, my drama is coming from a place of honesty. It was pretty painful. But it's the most amazing thing I've ever been through in my whole life. And even though I'm scared, I low-key can't wait to go through it again, because I can't believe I did that. Like, I can't believe I made a person and pushed them out. And I am such a home birth advocate now. Like, I literally want to tell everyone, like, you can do it at home. It's so comfortable being at home. Like, if this is your personality and you're interested in it. I have a friend actually I'm specifically thinking of who she's like, yeah, I guess it sounds comfortable, but I don't want to be at home giving birth. It's like, okay, but if I can encourage you and you're thinking about it, do it. That was me. If you're listening and you didn't watch this on a video, I was just shaking my head violently. Do it, because it is amazing. And I truly think that if you look at the statistics, you are in good hands if your midwife has cleared you for a home birth, which that's really what it is in most states. You have to actually be cleared. Like, they have to say, okay, you're good to go. Which, if you're a health conscious person and you don't have any like serious like family illnesses, or you don't have any like last minute changes in your pregnancy, like some people, their blood pressure suddenly goes up. If you don't have any of those problems, like, the numbers are really in your favor for a home birth. They're actually better than hospital birth numbers in a lot of different ways. And people don't really know that. So like, I have people that have said to me, like, why would anyone do a home birth? And I'm just like, where have you been looking at numbers? Because the information that I'm seeing, like I said, is that it's actually very safe if you meet that criteria that I mentioned before, which a lot of women, I think, can meet the criteria. So yeah, that was a tangent too. Okay, did you ever eat unhealthy? How did you make the change? I need to for a chronic illness. Okay, first off, I'm sorry that you're dealing with a chronic illness. It's just hard. Yeah, I eat unhealthy still all the time. Here's the thing. My knowledge way surpasses my habits. I think that's very common. I think most people are like that. Like, we maybe know what we should be doing and we're just like, nah, fam, I'm not going to do that. So I still eat unhealthy all the time. But it is a different kind of unhealth. So like, my version of eating unhealthy is like, I'm going to go down the street and get 2 donuts, which I'm like, 2 donuts from Five Daughters Bakery. But in my opinion, it still is different. Like, it's not good because it's the sugar. And I think sugar is just, we all consume way too much of it. But like, they're organic donuts. I'm pretty sure they're organic, non-GMO, local ingredients, real ingredients, right? I think that I've mentioned this before, like in my philosophy about health and nutrition and vitamins, that video, I mentioned that I don't think we give enough weight. Like, I think we give a lot of weight to calories, which that's helpful information, but I think we give a lot of weight to calories without the nutrition around the calories. Meaning, people like laugh at me when I say that about like, the donut is organic and local and whatever. And they laugh because it's funny, it's a donut. And really, it is a donut. But also, I'm like dead serious. I'm like, no, I actually think that this is a better option, because I think there is something funky with just chemicals that are in our food, the pesticides that are sprayed. I also think there's something cool about eating local ingredients, because the farther away it gets from its original source, you lose nutrients, right? And there are nutrients that exist within butter and milk, depending on your perspective. And even that, depending on if you're eating like raw or pasteurized, there's a lot of debates around it. But my point is, I still eat unhealthy. The thing is, I try to immerse myself in information regarding health. It is much easier to make the right decisions when you are immersing your brain in what is good for you and healthy, and you are seeing healthy food, because it's easier for your brain to, well, first off, it's harder to forget health information you learn when you're constantly putting it in, because like I was actually gonna go get those donuts yesterday, and even though I think they are better than like a regular donut, I didn't, because I was like, dude, you already have lactation cookies at home. I also didn't want to spend the money, but then also it's like, I can't forget what I do know about eating those quantities of sugar, because I have educated myself and continue to indoctrinate myself with those beliefs. So it makes making decisions easier. It's not, does that make sense? So that's what I would say. Indoctrinate yourself in health. I'm currently listening to a book called Nourishing Traditions, kind of along the same line as the book that I was reading when I was pregnant, Real Food for Pregnancy. And it's just about like ancestral eating. The gist is I'm really big into, you guys already know this, vegetables, fruit, high quality animal products. That was something I really integrated when I decided I wanted to get pregnant, because I deeply felt like that was something I needed to do for my fertility. And I'm feeling good from it. I mean, dude, that's kind of a side note too. My skin and hair have been pretty amazing since I started trying to get pregnant. It could be the hormones, it could be the diet. But I guess point being, my advice to you, immerse yourself in healthy content, books, videos, visuals. It makes it easier to make a good decision, quote unquote, when your mindset has already been changed. You're not fighting as hard. You're more being pulled and inspired to that, versus like, oh, I gotta be disciplined, I can't say yes to this. It's like, it's more encouraging. So, yeah.